Shots of Brown, shots of Brown, black, black. Show 'em on the track, show 'em on the track. Take a shot, take a shot, take a shot. Shots of Brown, you can take it straight or on the rock. Shots of Brown, on this platform it goes down. Shots of Brown, they know it ain't no cap on Shots of Brown. Take a shot.
Yo, 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 yo. Welcome back to Shots of Brown, baby. I am your host, Shayne Brown. You can call me Shiz or Shizzy, though. Welcome to Shots of Brown, baby. If you're new here, you know what to do here. Hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content. Like, comment, join the whole SOB fam. Double shout out and salute to everybody who been hyping the content up. I appreciate you. Y'all been helping the content get shown to a broader audience. Man, I love and appreciate y'all in a major way. So thank you for everybody who been using their hypes on the Shots of Brown platform. It is truly appreciated over here, man. Also, man, make sure you following on all social media platforms, Instagram, TikTok, at Shots of Brown. We about to crank up some real dope things on TikTok. I want to do some music reviews, a whole bunch of different things, but I'm going to start it here, but I'm putting it together now, but I'm going to keep y'all updated and informed. Also, if you haven't already, make sure that you check out my latest live that I just did with my Uncle Joe Saunders. We call him Beaver. Dope interview, very insightful. If I say so myself, one of the best interviews that I've done on this platform. But y'all give y'all opinion and let me know what y'all think. But if you ask me, it's definitely the best content that I put out on the channel. So I'm actually proud of that, man. But today, man, as we done spoke on this and on the last few lives, I just wanted to, do a video on this. Today, I just wanted to break down Auntie Whitney's career, on a $100 million deal, some downfalls. I want to break down some things for y'all to pay attention, for y'all to get a clear understanding of the situation. Maybe it'll change a lot of people's narrative on how they view her not being here no more. Okay? Rest in peace, Auntie Whitney, the GOAT. And as much as we all love her, I want, just for a brief second, I want you to think of her, think of the brand as a business, how the rest of these people was, how Arista Records was, how Clive Davis was, how the business was. And then maybe you'll get a clear understanding of some things. You dig? But yeah, so when Auntie Whitney bust out into the scene, early 80s, mind you, I wasn't even born yet when Auntie Whitney came out, nor New Edition. I wasn't even born yet. You feel me? But just get into it. But when Auntie Whitney came out, her impact was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Impact was crazy. I'm gonna give a little backstory. First album, the Whitney Houston album, sold upwards of 25 million. You know what I'm saying? Second album, the Whitney album, sold upwards of 20 million worldwide. Third album, I'm Your Baby Tonight, sold upwards of 10 million worldwide. So I just want you to sit back and I want you to think about how much revenue this was bringing in for those that she was signed to. Tens and tens of millions. When Auntie Whitney came out, she had that squeaky clean image. She was the queen of pop. Everybody loved her. She could be marketed to everybody across the world. She was, you know what I'm saying? And everybody across the world grew to love her and appreciate who she was. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got to see the artistry side of her, and the music and the lovely voice. But even behind that, she was even she was so much more, just a beautiful person inside and out. You know what I'm saying? So I just gave you the breakdown on those first 3 albums. You know what I'm saying? And the outlook. Y'all know the image that Auntie Whitney had. You know what I'm saying? So, my bad. So y'all know the image that she had, that squeaky clean image. She came out. She was going crazy. I mean, going crazy. Some of her accolades. She was the RIAA top certified female artist of the 20th century. First artist with 7 consecutive U.S. #1 singles. You know what I'm saying? Over 60 million units sold in the U.S. I mean, it's just crazy. Multiple Grammys, AMAs, Billboards, MTV Awards, everything you can name it. I took notes. For those that's wondering why I looked down. But yeah, so y'all know, she was one of the ones. She was a force to be reckoned with. You know what I'm saying? Couldn't nobody, and still to this day, I don't think there's nobody who can touch Whitney vocally. We had the Mariah Careys, and I give a double shout out to Mariah. I actually had the pleasure of meeting Mariah and hanging out with Mariah at the 2003 American Music Awards when Uncle Bobby Brown performed with Ja Rule. They performed the Thug Lovin'. I went to a Mariah Carey after party, what we did, and kicked it with her, and it was dope. Had a good time. So shout out to Mariah. I think Mariah, was one of the ones that come close. But then it goes into Auntie Whitney meeting Uncle B. Uncle B, his whole image was the total opposite. You know what I'm saying? And Uncle B at that time was a force to be reckoned with. At that time, Uncle B was probably like the Chris Browns of what Chris Brown is today. He was that to the people back then. You know what I'm saying? So, but his whole image was, he had the bad boy image. You know what I'm saying? Known to get on the stage and gyrate, do his thing. His whole image was totally different from Auntie Whitney. So Uncle B and Auntie Whitney getting together, a lot of people didn't really see that coming together. Know what I'm saying? And was like, damn, that came way left field. That was unexpected. But they get together, get married. Things is good. A lot of people didn't want to see that happen. Back then I was still a young ass kid, you know what I'm saying? But I just even remember back then, you know what I'm saying? Even just being around my grandmother, being around the family, a lot of people, even the press, the public, a lot of people didn't want that marriage to happen. Not my family, but just a lot of people, and it was coming back to our family, it was just crazy. But Auntie Whitney's business dealings, people she did business with, nobody wanted to see that come together. So I think that was really like strike one for Auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then once she starts really, well, we'll get into that. So, they get married, whoop-de-whoop. They get married. Everything's good. I believe in like 92, the Bodyguard come out. You know what I'm saying? The Bodyguard sold upward of 45 to 50 million worldwide, 18 times platinum. Bodyguard did crazy numbers, you know what I'm saying? Movie did crazy numbers. She ended up getting pregnant with Chrissy, having Chrissy. And I'm bringing the backstory up just to show y'all how much money Auntie Whitney generated. That's why I said in the beginning, like, look at this as a business. We invested this money in you. We've been successful so far. And everything's been good. Now then when you marry Bobby Brown, things start to, go downhill slowly but surely. You know what I'm saying? But I just want to just get into the mindset. Follow me, y'all. So listen, she gets, the Bodyguard drop, boom, very successful. She has Chrissy, you know what I'm saying? Boom. So then she has Chrissy. Boom, things is doing good. Her and Uncle B doing their thing. She ain't really touring. Uncle B's not really touring. Auntie Whitney doing her thing, but then speed it up a little bit. Late 90s, know what I'm saying? Uncle B, well, 90s, late 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. Uncle B always been in the media for, you know, his infidelities, cheating, the whole nine, you know. But then the tabloids get a hold of their addiction. Now with the tabloid, I remember growing up back then, every time I went into a store, on Auntie Whitney and Uncle B's face was on a cover of a magazine, one of these, whether it was the National Enquirer, whether it was the Sun, it was like every week, like they was the face of the tabloids, you know what I'm saying? And it was so much coming out with their addiction, so much coming out, you know, that was just heavy in the mid late 90s, you know, with them heavy in the tabloids. So then the fourth album comes, My Love Is Your Love. That album does pretty good. Know what I'm saying? It does good. You know, I just told you the third album, I'm Your Baby Tonight, sold upward of 10 million. So My Love Is Your Love, it came out in 98. That sold 11 million worldwide, 4 million in the States. Cool, everything's good. Then you speed it up. That was 98. You know, that album was a success. Album did good. Album went diamond. Know what I'm saying? Album went diamond. Auntie Whitney doing her thing, touring, boom, boom, boom. Cool. Speed it up now. This is where it gets a little interesting. But I brought all that up because even, you know, in all this time, all this took a hit at the chopping block when it came to Auntie Whitney and her image. You know, her marrying Uncle B, the infidelities on Uncle B was, you know what I mean, coming out with in the tabloids. Them being in the tabloids every week concerning the drug addiction. All this is taking a chip at the chopping block when it comes to Auntie Whitney. It's like, and at this time I remember, you know, they getting fed up because around this time they end up moving to Georgia. 2000, you know, and I remember, you know, I lived with my mother and grandmother my whole life, so I'm hearing everything. So Auntie Whitney, all this was taking a chip at the chopping block with her, and a lot of people was getting frustrated because you have to understand, she's a walking $100 million, billion-dollar business. You know, she's feeding hundreds, if not thousands, of families. You know what I'm saying? You got to think, once these people get these deals, man, they walk in businesses. We put this money, we invest this money in you. Like, we put this image on you. There's some things, you got to maintain this. Like, you got to follow protocol. You got to do what's told. You know what I'm saying? And I think one thing with Auntie Whitney, she just wanted to be free. She wanted to live her life. And I feel at one point she got tired of being tied down and, like, you know, she just wanted to do her own thing. You know what I'm saying? So, and unfortunately, when you a star with that much star power, you can't do your own thing. You know what I'm saying? There's rules and shit you gotta abide by, man, when you sign up for this. You know what I'm saying? And that's why a lot of artists are no longer here today. So I'm bringing all the past up to show you, like, the frustration. Just imagine the frustration that these companies had to go through, you know, with them not really being able to get to Auntie Whitney. They talking to her. She's not listening. You know, she's doing what she wants to do. You know what I'm saying? They try with the rehab. She's going, but she bucked the system for many, many years. You know what I'm saying? Bucked the system for many, many years. So then 2001 comes. She signs $100 million deal with Arista. August 6th of 2001. A deal reported to be the largest in the history of the music industry at that time. Excuse me. At that time. The agreement included multiple albums and greatest hits, but she got 25 million up front, right? And she was eclipsing Mariah Carey's deal because in that same year, Mariah Carey signed an $80 million deal with Virgin Records earlier that year. So Auntie Whitney signs this whole deal, 100 million, 2001, boom. So that was a big situation then, know what I'm saying? That was big. Like, we gave you more money than we gave anybody. You feel me? You got the biggest deal in history at this time. And this was like in the midst of the addiction and everything that they was going through, you know. But also at that time, Arista's parent company, BMG, was facing $150 million loss. Arista and BMG was facing $150 million loss that year, and they planned to lay off hundreds of employees. So listen, so this same year, 2001, they took a loss already of $150 million. Then they give Auntie Whitney $100 million. So that's already $250 million. They're in the hole. This has to be recouped. You understand me? This money has to be recouped. And with Whitney Houston being on Arista, she was the biggest thing on Arista. So a lot of that fell in the laps, in the lap of Auntie Whitney Houston. You know what I'm saying? They're already in debt. They already lost $150 million that year. Then we give you $100 million that year, $100 million deal that year. You know what I'm saying? So, keep in mind they're already 250 M's behind in 2001. And there was speculation that Whitney, and I don't know how true this is, but I was reading some things. There was speculation, and if anybody has any privy to this information or maybe knows a little more, let me know. Because during this time, I wasn't involved in paying attention to Auntie Whitney's business. We was more so on some whole other type of timing. But there was speculation that Auntie Whitney and other big artists like Carlos Santana might leave due to the founder, Clive Davis, being forced out after a clash with BMG over money issues, including his age at the time. He was 69, and that's when Clive started J Records and started pushing Alicia Keys to the top of the charts. But these was all accusations that I read on. I don't know if Auntie Whitney or Carlos Santana or anyone was talking about leaving the label at that time, or maybe even if that, or even maybe that was why they even gave Auntie Whitney that deal to keep her there at Arista. But L.A. Reid reports, and this came out of his own mouth, that there was never no conversation about Auntie Whitney leaving. She'd been with the company 18 years and been loyal to Arista her whole career. So that came from L.A. Reid, right? So so that comes from L.A. Reid, you know, that she wasn't planning on leaving the label at all. So then, 2001, she gets this deal. So now I don't have to no longer look at the notes, because then I can flow. 2001, she gets this deal. Like I told you, this was in the height of their career. This is in the height of their career. I mean, I'm sorry, not the height of their career. This was in the height of their addiction. A lot's going on at this time. So she gets that deal in 2001. 2002, she drops the Just Whitney album. The Just Whitney album comes out, and I remember being a few places. I remember the Just Whitney album being on the set of a few of the videos that Auntie Whitney done. I believe that's the same album with the What You're Looking At, where she recorded that with Mike Epps. I was there in the process of recording that video. There was another video. I think there was another single that came off of that album with Ron Isley. That was my record too. I was also there for the recording of that video. Both of those videos were shot here in Atlanta. Both of those videos were shot here in Atlanta. So during that time, I remember, I was, but so then 2002, the Just Whitney album comes out. And it didn't have as much success as you would expect for Whitney Houston. Like I told you, her previous albums was 10 million, 11 million, 20 million, 25 million, Bodyguard, 45, 50 million. You know, she's an artist who's established, who's doing numbers. She's made billions for these companies, you know. So now we give you 100 million in 2001. We put out this Just Whitney album in 2002. For the Just Whitney album to only do 3 million records. Know what I'm saying? And I'm pretty sure that the label expected that to do a lot more than it did. So that wasn't really a success for Arista or for Whitney Houston. You know, that wasn't a successful album for the label. They're not looking at that as a success. They're looking at it like, damn, you know, we used to doing this, that, and the third. We taking a hit. Like, that was a big hit, you know. And that came out in 2002. They sold 3 million worldwide, 1 million in the United States. That was a big hit, like, for these companies, you know. Although everybody probably loved the music, the album was dope, but when you look at the numbers-wise, business-wise, for these people that's sitting back at the desk and all they looking at is numbers, that wasn't a success for Arista after we done put out so much money. You know what I'm saying? So that was 2002. You know, in the process of 2002, after that album comes, Auntie Whitney tours and she does her thing, boom, 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 and not too long after that, Being Bobby Brown comes out. Now I want y'all to also look. So at this point now, you know, when they put out the Just Whitney album, it's already been, like I just told y'all, been chipping at the ice block. You know, it's a lot of things that Auntie Whitney been bucking the system. Now this album comes out, it ain't really a success to these people. You know what I'm saying? It's not the Whitney Houston success that these people expect. You know what I'm saying? So it's they already like, man. And then in the process of this, I remember people coming to the mansion, Auntie Whitney's team, trying to get her right, trying to divide and conquer when it came to her and Uncle B. You know, they wanted her and Uncle B separated. You feel me? So 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, addiction is still heavy, you know. Then here goes Being Bobby Brown. One of the things where I feel played a pivotal part in why Auntie Whitney is no longer here with us. Being Bobby Brown was a deal that was bought by my Uncle Tommy to Bobby. And they didn't want to push that unless Auntie Whitney was involved. Of course, Auntie Whitney was going to be involved. That was her husband. She supported anything Uncle B did. Being Bobby Brown was the worst thing that could happen to Whitney Houston's brand. It hurt Auntie Whitney more than it could have ever hurt Bobby, Uncle B, because of who Auntie Whitney was. You know, when you thought of Auntie Whitney, you thought of this sweet, wholesome girl. You know, her whole image was different. You know, when that came out, it just wasn't a good look for her. You know, it just wasn't a good look for her with a whole lot of different ways. You know, some of the fans didn't appreciate it. You know, how she didn't interact with the fans. Some people didn't like the high, her, you know, them being high. It was just a whole lot that shouldn't have gone on. That shouldn't have gone on. Period. You know what I'm saying? That show shouldn't have not gone on for numerous reasons. At that time, like I told you just now, they was heavy into the addiction. A lot was going on. So that shouldn't have gone on. But that was also a way for them to really come in and divide and conquer and bring Uncle B and Auntie Whitney apart, and they really was able to come in and break that up. I think Auntie Whitney, that was one time when Auntie Whitney was able to look back and really see it. And I honestly think that's probably why her people let it go through. You know what? Let her just see for herself. You know, because she's not getting it when we say it. Let her just see for herself. And I believe that's probably why they allowed that to go through. And I think that woke Auntie Whitney up. And that's what, led to the divorce. A lot of people was able to come in on both ends, on Uncle B's end, Auntie Whitney's end. They was able to rip them apart, divide and conquer, you know what I'm saying? And being Bobby Brown is definitely something that should have never happened. Although, there's fans out here who love it. There's a lot of people out here who love it. But when you really just look at the gist of it, like, was it really worth it? Was it really worth it? You know what I'm saying? That's a major part on why Auntie Whitney isn't here. That really destroyed her. After that, they got her. After that, they get the divorce and everything. They got her, try their hardest to clean the image up and do what they can, but it was a lot of damage done with that show. There's a lot of damage done with that. A lot of damage done with being Bobby Brown. So after being Bobby Brown, and they get the divorce and everything, I think that was around like 2000 and, my bad, I had a little minor disturbance. But yeah, the divorce was around 2007. Divorce around 2007, boom. Y'all know everything that was taking place. Auntie Whitney went on tour after that. A lot of people was coming out with reviews and a lot of whoop-de-whoop-de-wop-de-wop. Y'all know the whole mix. I don't want to really get too in deep with that. But then the I Look to You drops. They do 2.5 million on that I Look to You album. That album, the I Look to You album, didn't even do as good as the Whitney album did. This came out in 2009. So you got to think, $100 million deal. $100 million deal. And then with that $100 million deal, we put out 2 albums and only sold 5.5 million copies on the albums. These damn labels are sitting back like, man, what's going on? And on top of that, Auntie Whitney go to rehab and she's doing good. She's doing her thing. But, Auntie Whitney can't be controlled. She can't be controlled. You feel me? And it's just deep, man. It's just deep, bro. Auntie Whitney and Uncle B was talking about getting back together and doing their thing. Nobody wanted that. So Auntie Whitney is no longer here, and all this was a plan. All this was a plan, man. All this was a plan. And I'm going to go furthermore. I'm going to do another video. I'm going to get even deeper. But this is just scratching the surface because I just wanted to put this out and break it down a little bit for people who can't really understand. Like, this is business. Business. Like I said in the beginning, these people aren't loving her how we loving her. She's not their family. She's a business to them. She's an opportunity for them to take care of their families. You know what I'm saying? And it's just real, man. It's unfortunate, but it's real. You know what I'm saying? I love and miss you, Auntie Whitney. Love and miss you, Chrissy. It's just an unfortunate situation, man. But that I Look to You album, though, it debuted at #1. It sold 305,000 its first week. And it was her first #1 album since the Whitney album. And the Whitney album came out in '87. I got a further one look into that. I read that and wrote some notes, but that's what it said. I got a further one look into that part though. That was her first #1 album since the Whitney album. So I don't know. I don't know about that. I gotta fact check that. But man, I got more coming. I just wanted to scratch the surface and get people to understand that at the end of the day, like, she was looked at as a, these artists, not even just her, all these artists are looked at as a business. Once I invest this money into you, you are now officially my walking business. You feel me? But I hope y'all enjoyed this, man. I love y'all, and more content will come. Shots of Brown, baby. And I'm gonna dig deep into this autopsy. We're gonna really crack this open. Love y'all.